The Greens bill aimed at legalising same-sex marriage into Parliament today. We'll be speaking to her a bit later on in the program.
But we'd like you to continue sending us your thoughts, and you can do that by sending emails to breakfast@your.abc.net.au. You can also talk about the show online, on Facebook and on Twitter.
Now, new research shows there won't be more women in the top ranks of business unless companies take action and appoint them. The authors of a new report into gender parity say there must be less talk and much more action.
More women have graduated from university than men in the past 2 decades, yet men are 9 times more likely to make it to senior positions. Joining us now is one of the report's authors, Melanie Sanders, and she's also a partner at the management consultants Bain Co. Melanie Sanders, thank you so much for your time. We know, well, we've known for a while that organisations have been slow to promote women. So what has this study found that are the reasons behind this?
Well, good morning and thanks for having me on. It's great to be here. Bain Company, in partnership with Chief Executive Women, has undertaken research over the last 3 years on gender diversity in Australian corporations. And in this last piece of research, what we've found is the most important dimension for changing gender parity at the top and creating environments where women feel that they can reach their full potential is in fact the presence of women at senior executive levels. So women at the top really makes a difference. Women say that they are 5 times more likely to recommend their organisation as a place to work when women at the top are in critical mass, i.e. 25% of the executive team. And that's important because that signifies an inclusive culture. Diversity by definition at the top means that a range of styles is appreciated, and a range of different approaches to leadership is much more accepted. And that's important itself because one of our critical findings is that women feel that style, the fact that their style is different, and that difference is not always appreciated, is the single biggest inhibitor to their progression. In fact, 80% of women say that that is the biggest issue for them. And that sort of debunks, I think, conventional wisdom that in fact it's competing priorities that get in the way. What the data is telling us is that's not necessarily the case.
What about the theory that affirmative action and putting women in more senior positions may lead to women who are unqualified for the job being promoted?
Look, I think that's, I don't think that's necessarily correct. I think that there are plenty of women. The data says that we've seen women, as you pointed out, for the last 25 years graduate from our universities at significantly greater rates. In fact, 60% of university graduates are female. And from core disciplines such as law and business, which are typical recruiting grounds for management positions. So I think there is a good supply of women out there. And clearly, you know, we need to make sure that appointments of women and men are, of course, merit-based. But I think we don't need to necessarily consider, you know, changing the quality standards. What we want to do is see, you know, capable women, which we believe are out there, capable and competent women being appointed into senior roles.
There is also an argument that Australia needs targets with teeth, like what they've done in Norway with mandated quotas. Is that the answer, rather than simply targets?
So, look, the quota discussion is a natural extension of that thinking, but I think the model we have here in Australia under the ASX guidelines is that organisations set targets appropriate to their starting point and their environment and sector, and self-report and disclose publicly how they're performing against those targets. And I think that's a good model. Of course, quotas, you know, is an extension of that thinking. Of course, it comes with the issue that the very question you raised, which is, will we see appointments made that are not merit-based, I think is not helpful. So I think the model we have here is good. Making sure that those targets have teeth, as you say, are quantitative, is important.
Melanie Sanders, thank you very much for your time this morning.
My pleasure.
OK, let's look at the front pages of the major newspapers around the country now. The Australian says Julia Gillard warned that the disadvantage gap confronting Aborigines can't be closed if alcohol is allowed back into their communities.
In the Financial Review, 2 Labor figures